2 months had flown by in one of the most magical spots on the map we'd ever had the pleasure of calling home, the San Blas Archipelago in Panama. But, as is always the case in the life of a sailor, it was time to move on.
Pretty sad to go, actually. It's just been a very special spot. I think it's one of those spots where I will think back and only remember really, really fond memories. And like how happy Sierra was. I don't know if I'm ready to leave yet, but it has to happen, and the weather is kind of, like always, deciding what we should do. It's a beautiful morning though. Should I pick up the anchor?
Yeah.
That's it, San Blas. We'll miss you dearly.
Panama is a bit of a tricky spot. Once you're there, it's a bit difficult to go back. The current and wind funnels everything towards Panama, so it's a beat no matter which way you want to go. And after 6 years in the Atlantic, from Africa, up the coast of South America, all through the Caribbean and the east coast of the US, then back down again, we felt ready for a change. So we made the big decision to take Delos through the Panama Canal and back into the Pacific Ocean, bringing us one step closer to completing the circumnavigation that I began 13 years and about 80,000 miles ago. It would be a bit of a process to prepare for the journey, and the first step would be to leave our little oasis in the San Blas and sail to Shelter Bay in Cologne via a stop in Linton Bay. Once we made it to Shelter Bay, we had a few projects to get Delos back in ship shape, and we also had to begin the laborious task of getting all our ducks in a row to go through the canal, which involved a lot of paperwork and jumping through many hoops, and the surprisingly lengthy process of getting Delos measured. Next, we needed to bring in some crew, as we were required to have 4 dedicated line handlers on board for the transit. We invited our friend Connor, one of the charter members of the Two Titty Yacht Club, who we rode out the early days of the pandemic with in the Bahamas.
Where's the hug? Come here.
Alex, hugs, inside hugs.
Oh, good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too, man. Welcome to
How's
Panama.
it going? Oh my gosh.
Our tried and true buddy Ryan, who helped us with our refit in Annapolis and sailed with us through some of the gnarliest weather we saw in the US.
I'm back.
And our old pal Jordan, who cruised with us for a few months back in the Caribbean and has been part of the Delos team helping us to edit videos for the last couple of years now.
This is your room.
This is your roommate, Sierra.
We can be roommates.
Roomies?
This is where we jump.
With the dream team in place and all of our preparations in order, the big day had finally come to begin our transit through the Panama Canal.
1, 2, 3.
Panama Canal! Woo!
That was awesome.
Today's the day we're gonna head to the Pacific Ocean, which is like a little bit bizarre to think of. I'm a little anxious actually. I don't know why. It seems like nerves, like it's something that I've never done before. We have a professional though. This is Marcos.
Hola, Marcos.
Marcos has been doing this for over 20 years. He's transited the canal hundreds of times, so he's gonna tell us like what to expect and just cool guy to hang out with. And right now we're just gonna get off the dock. We're gonna go anchor out. And then we have an advisor that comes on board that gives us the specifics about transiting the canal. That's it. So let's do it.
Cool. Fired up. Bye, Brian. See you in the Pacific.
Pacific, baby!
We motored out of the marina and towards a specific set of GPS coordinates where we could anchor and wait for our advisor to get dropped off on Delos. Having an advisor on board is mandatory for every boat that goes through the canal, whether you're a little cruiser like us or a massive cargo ship. Their job is to communicate with the lockmaster, canal personnel, and other boats to keep things running safely and smoothly, and to guide you through the process and provide experience and knowledge specific to the canal that you wouldn't have any other way. Today we would be welcoming aboard Lawrence, a seasoned veteran with hundreds of transits under his belt.
My name is Gustavo Lawrence. I'm here from Colón, Panama. Being here today to make you a safe and pleasure transit between the Gatun locks.
All right, you can go ahead and start pulling her up.
Look who's awake now.
He's awake. Wow, look at that ship. That one is gonna go in at the same lock as us. Crazy, huh? You're gonna go through the Panama Canal at 2.5.
So cool. How do you feel being all up in the mix with these big fellas?
We're kind of on the outside of the channel here, so we're fine. I just looked up this guy on AIS. He's 366 meters long and 48 meters wide. I've got some canal facts here that are pretty cool that we researched on. So the entire distance from the first locks, the Gatun locks, until the Miraflores locks is just a bit over 50 miles. At our speed right now, it would take 8 to 10 hours, assuming that we could go straight through the canal, but it's quite likely that we'll spend the night in the middle in Lake Gatun, which is very cool, and I really hope we get to do that. Over 14,000 ships transit the canal per year, and since it was constructed, over 1 million boats have transited. The cost is based on size, so for Delos to go through, sorry, I gotta avoid this container ship here. So for Delos to go through, it cost about $2,200, but some of these bigger cargo ships and cruise ships, it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there was one ship we went by, their cost was like $450,000, although I've heard of ships costing up to $800,000. It's one fact that really stuck with me, just to give you a scale of the engineering related to this project, is that each one of these locks, just on its own, is equivalent in steel, concrete, and like general engineering to the building of the Empire State Building. So it was no small feat to do. It's very cool. I find the history just incredibly fascinating, and I hope we're able to like just get through it in one piece. And yeah, it's gonna be amazing. The general concept behind the Panama Canal is relatively simple, but the history and execution of this feat of engineering is anything but. The Panama Canal is a system of locks that lets boats traverse overland from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean, or vice versa, across the Isthmus of Panama, rather than taking the lengthy and sometimes dangerous journey all the way around Cape Horn, saving about 8,000 nautical miles of travel. There's a set of 3 locks at each end of the canal. Boats enter the first lock, and a giant gate shuts behind. It's then flooded with 26.7 million gallons of water, the equivalent of about 40.5 Olympic-sized swimming pools. All this water comes from the man-made Lake Gatun. The water level rises for about 8 minutes, lifting the boat with it. The gates in front open, allowing the boat to pass through to the next lock. This process repeats in the second and third lock until the boat has climbed a total elevation of 85 feet. The next step is to motor about 50 miles through the lake into the next set of locks, where the process will happen in reverse. Once in the first lock, the water drains out, letting the boat descend back towards sea level. The gate opens, allowing passage to the next set of locks. After this repeats in the second and third lock, you've successfully transited the Panama Canal and made it to an entirely different ocean. But this convenient passage didn't come without a cost and seemingly insurmountable challenges along the way. The idea of creating a water passage across the Isthmus of Panama dates back to at least the 1500s, when Spain surveyed a route along the Chagres River through mountainous jungle terrain, which was deemed impossible at the time. Fast forward to 1880, and France broke ground on a sea level canal
under the command of Count Ferdinand de Lesseps, who led construction on the Suez Canal in Egypt. But Panama was an entirely different beast that carried its own set of challenges that were much more different than what they had encountered in Egypt. Torrential downpour triggered landslides that buried workers alive. Flood swept away construction equipment. A fire destroyed the city of Cologne when a civil war ignited, and an earthquake rocked the country. Outbreaks of dysentery, malaria, and yellow fever decimated the workforce. Finally, in 1888, after the loss of a staggering 20,000 lives, the French abandoned the project. The assets of the Canal Zone were picked up by the US in 1902 for $40 million, the equivalent of just over $1 billion today. When a proposed treaty over rights to build in what was then Colombian territory was rejected, the US threw its military and political weight behind a Panamanian independence movement, which resulted in the new nation of Panama, who promptly negotiated a deal with the US for exclusive possession of the Panama Canal Zone. Despite the failure of the French, the Americans initially wanted to continue with the sea level canal. The problem with this plan is that the majority of the route is well above sea level, meaning they would need to excavate a 50-mile long and 85-foot deep canyon through the wild and mountainous Panamanian jungle. An alternative and much better plan was a locking system that would raise boats up on one side, dam and flood a man-made lake to create a water passage, and then lower them down via locks on the other side. So after encountering the same problems as the French did with the sea level canal and the resignation of their chief engineer, it was finally decided to change course and begin constructing a lock-based canal. They also discovered that mosquitoes were carriers for many of the deadly diseases plaguing the workforce, and worked diligently to wipe out as many as possible. While conditions improved, working in the Panama Canal was still incredibly dangerous, especially as they began to clear the 9-mile stretch of mountainous terrain of the Culebra Cut, which earned the nickname Hell's Gorge. Landslides could wipe out months or even years of work, and risks of death ranged from drowning to electrocution as workers blasted away at the mountains with upwards of 60 million pounds of dynamite, which could also become unstable and ignite prematurely in the tropical climate. By the time construction was finished in 1913, the US recorded nearly 6,000 fatalities, bringing the entire death toll to an unbelievable 26,000 souls. The canal officially opened on August 15, 1914, at a total cost of more than $350 million, or about $8 billion US dollars today, making it the most expensive project in US history at the time. The canal has been operational ever since, and in 1994, it was recognized as one of the 7 wonders of the modern world, and in 2010, it hosted its 1 millionth transit. This recounting here is just the tip of the iceberg of the elaborate history of the canal, and to dive fully into it is well beyond the scope of this episode. But hopefully, you get some idea of everything it took for us to be able to make this journey today. Meanwhile, we were about to pass under another feat of engineering on our way to the first locks, the longest concrete cable-stayed bridge on the planet, the Atlantic Bridge.
Dear. Hi. Wow.
We've come up with a stroke of genius by Connor. We're going to put a camera up high. We decided to do it on the mizzen so that we can look down at the forward and the center of the boat, which is cool.
That should be a good shot.
And also, he's going to knock down those wasp nests that are under the radar there, because I've been meaning to get to those. But
Well, I have to say, I haven't committed to it. The request has been made. Yeah, I will process it. Anything's going to happen. It's going to happen right up there.
Get up there and destroy that home, Connor. You got this. Anything for the shot, right, Kata?
1, 2, 3. All right, just made up here on the mizzen. We got a great view going up and into these locks. What a day to be alive, be a part of such a cool thing.
we made it to the entrance of the locks. You can see them right here. They look really cool. And we're kind of in a holding pattern. You can see the chart plotter. I'm just doing like donuts. We're waiting for the first lock to clear. Then the tanker is going to go in, and then we go in behind him.
Lawrence, is it time to raft up?
Yes, of course.
Cool. Let's do it.
Beginning the maneuver.
You ready for the maneuver?
I'm ready for the maneuver.
El maneuver. Oh.
To maximize efficiency in the locks, smaller boats like us often end up rafting together and traveling through as a single unit. After taking into account engine horsepower, maneuverability, and boat size and weight, the advisors from all the boats decide what the optimal positioning will be. Today, we would be in the far port position with a catamaran in the middle and another smaller monohull to their starboard. It's kind of an intense maneuver as all three boats had to communicate and work together, and there was also quite a lot of wind. But it went off without a hitch, and we were ready to enter our first lock and officially begin our transit of the Panama Canal.
Hola, hola! We hope you're enjoying this episode so far of our transit through the Panama Canal.
Yeah, we put a lot of extra love into this one, so if you do enjoy it, please comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and give us a likes.
Yeah, anyways, sit back, relax, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the video as we prepare to enter into the first set of locks. Exciting!
We're literally a couple hundred meters from going in right now. Pretty exciting.
I love the neon arrow. It reminds me of like a diner in the US or something.
It's really cool.
We had left the marina almost 4 hours ago and only traveled about 4 miles to the entrance of the Gatun Locks. It was a lot of hurry up and wait, but now it was time for the real work and fun to begin.
Pretty intense, huh?
Yeah, right now our job is to keep a little bit of reverse on, to keep the raft, you know, if we're in reverse, it's trying to pivot the raft out so it doesn't nose into the wall.
It's pretty nerve-wracking. It's also pretty crazy that it's in the night.
You still want my reverse? Neutral? A little bit? Okay.
And they're like screaming between the boats. The advisors are kind of like deciding what to do, but it has to be like one main advisor, right? So then he's screaming like reverse to Brian, so Brian goes reverse, and then the other one goes forward to like pivot us around.
Sí, pues dale, porque estamos para acá, estamos bien acá.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, yeah. It's a little bit stressful, but... Now they're gonna throw us the lines. So they have this ball and they like throw it to you.
Oh, look at this, look at this. Oh! Whoa!
The guys are all the way up there. They're so high up.
These doors are massive. Reverse. Reverse. Slow, easy reverse. Idle.
The doors are closing. The doors are closing.
Bye, Atlantic Ocean. See ya.
So much water moving.
So much. Look how fast it's going.
You can see it with your naked eye. Like you can see the water level rising.
Literally feel us moving up.
It's pretty crazy to be up here because like I remember being down at the sea level and like looking up and feeling like, oh my god, that's so high. And now we're up here and looking down on the ocean.
Sierra, how cool is this? So what's been the kind of the process for you up here?
We start off with the line extended very high up to the seawall, and then as the boat goes back and forth and shifts around as the water level rises and slack is created, I pull in the slack, cleat it off really tight, then get away, stand back. That way, because the line goes tight, I don't want to be anywhere near it.
Are you helping with the lines?
Two down, one to go.
Yeah, we're entering the last lock right now. After this, we'll be in the lake. Spend the night, which is pretty cool. Not many people get to do that. Right now, we're about 75, almost 80 feet above sea level, which I figured is the highest that Delos has ever been. That's pretty cool, right? Above sea level, that never happened.
A lot of firsts for us today. Hello.
This is so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
We're gonna spend the night like up in a lake, like high up.
Middle of Panama.
That's crazy.
It's like the sailboat equivalent of a treehouse, you know?
Yeah. It's a very exclusive club, this Panama Canal business.
Yeah. Good job driving.
Oh, thank you.
Hey Kazim, what were you looking at before?
Oh yeah, it's like a webcam where you can see, like they have it on that tower there, and you can like see us right now here, which is pretty crazy. Like it's not super good quality, but it's still cool to like see us like go higher and higher and higher. It's pretty cool.
So this random big buoy right here, we got to tie off of that. That's a cleat if I've ever seen one.
You.
All right.
Happy,
nice
happy?
job, everybody.
Yeah.
Teamwork, huh? Cheers to everybody.
Yeah.
Good job, come on, Marcos.
To our new amigo.
Do it. Good job. Good work. All right. One drink.
So why would we leave a perfectly good? We're leaving a perfectly good yacht to come.
Well, there's actually a really
hang
good
out.
reason though.
Hang out on this boat.
Yeah.
Oh, you pillow bringing bastard!
This is where I fall into.
We've done so good so far.
Marcos was telling us a story about how some crazy people made him sleep on the buoy one night, which I think is so up. Anyway, we decided to come see what it's like.
Cheers. Cheers. Put your hand. There we go. Hell yeah.
Buoy time.
Do a great day.
All right, that's
Zesty.
Up next on Delos, we wake up 85 feet above sea level in a lake in the middle of the Panama Canal, then continue our voyage to the last set of locks and make our return to the Pacific Ocean for the first time in nearly 8 years.
What are these yahoos doing?
They're just Snapchatting like a bunch of douches. I don't know what they're doing.
Yes, this is a bit of a narration, and so we're going to warm up a little bit. How now, brown cow? Okay, done.
I'm just questioning myself. I just went up. I'm sure I started it, but I just am trying to make sure the GoPro's right. So I'm looking for the little red blinking light. I'm 70% sure I can see it going.
It's like when you leave the house on vacation, you're like, did I leave the oven on?
That's exactly that.
Oh my god, they have matching t-shirts. It's so cute. Oh my god, I love it.
Hey, Panama Canal baby. Stop.
All right,
Zesty. Zesty.
Are we ready? Are we still filming this?
We're still vlogging.
Oh my god.